I do a lot of shows, but it's very rare where so many people reach out to me on LinkedIn saying, I heard Elliot's going to be on. So I don't know who this cat Elliot is, but I had a few people reach out to me and say, I heard he's going to be on. So this is a treat for me. I get to speak to a lot of people, but not a lot of people that have a following pre-show. So Elliot, man, welcome to the show, my man.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be on. I would also love to know who those people are.
Well, I've done it to you. I heard Elliot's going to be on. I'm like, yeah. So Elliot, here's the thing. We started this show, or I started podcasting because of loneliness. It's been a heck of a run. And I talk about this quite a bit where the COVID and the pandemic is this time in our lives that all humans can relate to it. It's not a male, female. It's not an American versus European. We all have something we've been through together. And we all know what it's like to work remote. We all know this is like a weird time. And I think through this, I know I'm in a weird way living my best self in this time of chaos and sadness. So I just thought it'd be kind of neat to hear, how the heck did you get out of bed every day for the last few months? Like, how did you do it? And welcome to the show, my man.
Thanks. Yeah, the big thing is just like always making sure to have something I want to go try and do or like try and learn today. And like it's the same thing I've been doing a lot of time with my team and like the people working with. It's like making sure that people are chatting together, making sure that people are like sharing knowledge, making sure that people aren't working by themselves. If you notice people going off and haven't heard from them for a couple of days, just checking in and saying like, how are you going? Like, what are you doing? What are you excited about? There's always something exciting to do, like even if you can't go outside or can't go hang out with your friends.
As a leader, I feel like I have to ask the follow-up question, as you might have to. When I ask my direct reports similar questions you say, I feel like I have to ask it a few times so they know it's just not, how's the weather today? I'm like, no, how are you doing? Right? Because I know as leaders, if we're struggling and we're coping, and we have at least a little bit of the gray hair or the war wounds of good and bad bosses, I ask again. So how many times do you really have to ask to check in till you finally know it's genuine and they're going to open up to you?
Yeah, you definitely have to ask a lot, but I always found it's more important, instead of asking a lot, to just refer to something that they said last time. Like it does way more value than just asking the same question 4 or 5 times in a row.
I think, it's great to have that trust with a senior executive during this time where they actually, it's not to say they actually care. We hope that companies care and people care, but in this time where everybody's like spread out and moving around, it's asynchronous work. You're right. It's these check-ins. Now, for me, I never got into the Zoom parties, the Friday Zoom team meetings. It's more of I'm on Zoom so often. If I do not have to be on a Zoom X, I'm not being on a Zoom X. You fill in the blank. What about you? Are you at the place where you're just so excited that you just don't want to look at the camera anymore?
Yeah, it's definitely true. I spend a lot more time hiking on weekends now than I used to, and just going outside. I don't know. It's been more fun instead of trying to do the like Zoom X where people are just hanging out and trying to have a good time over Zoom, to instead be like, hey, like tell me what you've been doing. Like let's just go deep dive in your code, or like let's walk through a model in your data. Because it's way more interesting than trying to watch people eat over Zoom or like play a board game over Zoom.
I can't do it. And I'll tell you the other thing that I did with our team is Mondays. I do no video Mondays. And I say, so you don't have to apologize. Like there's no apology. I'm like, no, you do not have to. There is no video. Like call in and walk around. Like call in so I can hear traffic, right? Because even though you might not be showing the camera, right, you're still tethered to the desk. Like no matter how you cut it, you're still like So I don't know if maybe it's me, but I don't know if I'm a walker or a pacer, but what about yourself? Are you learning different ways to communicate on certain meetings? Are you the walking meeting? Like it's almost dead. Like let's bring it back.
No, I did walking meetings all the time before the pandemic, or like go have a one-on-one that 90% of it's just walking to a coffee shop, buying a cup of coffee together, and then walking back. I've done a couple of those and stuff like that. I think we just set the expectation that like I don't care what your video call. If your video is on, it's fine. If you want to be on video, that's okay. If you don't, that's fine. It's more important that you speak up and like have ideas than like the fact that I can see that you're not checking your phone in the middle of this meeting. Like I honestly don't care if you're checking your phone in the middle of the meeting.
And for me, I'm trying to be a little bit more sensitive to like the team's mental health, right? It is, a healthy person is healthy work right now more than ever. So yeah, it's cool to get a sense of what that's like where you are. Now, I did the exodus from San Francisco to Miami. I did the exodus in September. I always said there's kind of 5 seasons in San Francisco. You've got the 4+ fire. So,
yes.
So I think I was in the East Bay, and once those big fires hit, I was like, okay, I'm done. Now we're going back. I mean, think about the year we had. We had COVID. And then we Californians, like Northern California. We had the fire. Where were you during the fires?
I've been in San Francisco almost the entire time. We went and worked out of a family friend's house in Sonoma for a month, really early on, just to get out of the city. Yeah. But otherwise, I've been in the city, and it's been interesting watching the team kind of really quickly figure out that they don't want to be here permanently, go work somewhere else, and then now being like, oh well, now that stuff's opening back up, I kind of do miss San Francisco. I kind of do miss the other people I know around there, and people are slowly starting to drift back in.
That's interesting. I want to go there for a second, if that's okay.
Sure.
I have a buddy of mine who is a startup founder. They just raised a pretty good Series B. He's in Miami because they're going to be scaling and opening up in Miami. So he's like, I'm going to be in Miami. We met up 3-4 days ago. He's like, what do you miss? What's the difference between San Francisco, Miami? There's a hot startup scene in Miami. I said, well, here's the deal. In San Francisco, they understand really scale, take over the world, multi-billion-dollar ideas. You're going to every restaurant. Someone's talking about a product. Someone's talking about a fundraising round. Something's talking about, did you see this? It's going to change the world. I said, I miss eavesdropping. Miami is like a hustle town. Like you listen to people's conversations at the next table. It's like, dude, are we playing golf this weekend? It's like, we going on the boat this weekend? So there are things that you're right. You do. The weather's spectacular, but they're truly what is scale, what is, take over the world in a good way. You don't hear those conversations here. So that's kind of things that I laugh about. Have you been at those restaurants where you're just seeing or hearing people and you're like,
yeah,
they're pitching, they're pitching a VC.
Yeah. And I've been the person having that conversation that's been both entertaining and also annoying everyone else around us. It definitely just feels different. And I haven't worked in the startup scene or in tech outside of San Francisco really, or outside the Bay Area that much. But like the fact that like there's a lot of common experiences here. There's a lot of people, no matter where they came from. I came from the Midwest. Like I grew up not in the Bay Area, but like coming here and finding people that think about problems like me, or that like want to have the same type of experiences. Like it makes it really easy to just get down and start working, because like there's these easy shorthands, and it's important to like make sure we're constantly bringing in new people and new ideas, and like giving more and more exposure to the entire company, or to the world, to what we're doing here. But like the fact that there's been these easy shorthands built up makes the pace of work really fast and really easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, and the last thing on the culture, pace of work and everything in San Francisco, to our listeners who travel to San Francisco, there is, a dress code for VCs. You always see them in Patagonia, zippy, You just Miami, it's too hot. You're not wearing any. It's like everything is like different. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can't like
Yeah.
pick people out. Be like, yep, they're pitching. So now you're at a rocket ship, and rarefied air. Very few make it from YC up to what you guys are doing, and it's great to watch. What's it like on the inside to be on the rocket ship?
So I've actually had the fun experience of this is the second time I've done this. I was employee number 6 at Cruise, like super early on, got to watch and work with that team grow. It was fun coming into Scale where it was a little bit later, but helping to kind of come in a management position and empowering a lot of the team. It's interesting what is important on day 1 that you no longer care about on day 100. And also the things that like you never thought you would have to care about. And I think the biggest thing is just like stuff is going to consistently change, and it's going to consistently change in really, really surprising ways. And so like, don't get like, if you don't like something, one, you can probably change it. That's the nice thing about a startup versus like a big company is if something's going wrong, like just say something and it's almost always changeable. And then the second thing is if you don't like something and it's just systemic, well, if the company's really growing fast, it probably won't be around in a month. It probably won't be around in 2 months.
Yeah, it's. I've had the good fortune to be in rocket ships as well, and it's when you start moving beyond a conference room, it gets crazy. When it starts moving beyond new names, when it starts moving beyond CEO no longer does the interviewing, it's why we get up. It's why we take the risk. I see the world as builders, or either it's the same thing, but it's you're either the tractor trailer or you're the tractor, right? So the tractor is, I like to play that first part, and there are a lot of people, and then there's people that come in after, employee 1,000, right? Or employee 500. It's a different stomach. It's a different skill set. I love that.
I think that's okay.
Truckers.
I think that the thing that people like don't get is like, they're like, well, I really used to enjoy this and I don't anymore. And it's like, well, maybe you're the person that really likes to do 0 to 1. Like, and we either need to find the 0 to 1 place within this company, or like figure out a way to go let you build your own 0 to 1. Or if you're the person that like, oh, this is too much risk, I could never go be like in the first 10 or first 100 employees. That's also great. There's a ton of work once you get to that point.
Those are my favorite interview, like employment interviews, right? People who know where they want to be, right? So if I want to hire, so you're right to the agent stage, right? What we're going to be doing now is a lot different than what we are going to be doing in 2 years, whatever that's going to be, right? So, right, I love the people that have that self-awareness of like, no, here's the place I like to play. I think it makes it easier. So now, machine learning day, there's a lot to be thankful for, I believe, and there's a lot of stuff that you all are working on. So I don't know if you want to just to riff a little bit on. There's a few things on my notes here, like data volume versus data quality, robotics projects versus academic ML. I mean, you can pick up the thread wherever you want, but let's riff on some ML stuff.
Sure. I mean, I think the biggest fun thing I've discovered is that like what the difference between production ML versus like academic ML, or like trying to just hit a conference paper or hit a position on a leaderboard. It's really different, but like it's also really fun. Like production ML is way funner than I ever had building a model to try to compete on a leaderboard, because the scales are different, the complexities are different, the challenges are different. A really good example I've found from people is that like, or analogy I found from people is that like, it's not just shipping the model actually doesn't matter. Like I could ship an if statement and it works great as a model some percent of the time. The important thing is building the system that just keeps stuff learning and keeps stuff growing and makes it so that it's actually truly ML and not just like hard coding priors into some system and then letting the priors run.
That's funny. That's something to be grateful for, but I get you. That's it. That's really funny. A thing to celebrate that's not maybe as technical as the output. So for me, in mine, that is not as technical, just on output, is autocorrect,
Hmm?
Google Maps, Apple Maps telling me where a street light camera is. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that your company's doing, but the output, non-technical celebratory output because of you, what are some cool things we can celebrate?
Like, I think that it's now easier than ever to like have an idea and try to build a model around it. I think that that's something to celebrate. I think that like the
So
barrier
good.
to entry is like so small right now. Like a big reason that Alex started this company is in college he wanted to go save the world and solve a problem, but he didn't want the problem he wanted to solve wasn't like one data. He wanted to solve a different problem. He just ran into labeling data as like the thing that prevented him from solving that problem, and he realized that like the data just didn't work, and so it needed to be redone from scratch. And so because of that, now it's like very, very easy to like have an idea and go try stuff out, and the amount of tools and the resources available is just really spectacular from when I started doing ML and computer vision.
I want to just pause there and just let everybody soak that up. I mean, one of the things we're celebrating today is you have a dream, you want to try something, you're an entrepreneur, you want to all try to be an entrepreneur. The barrier of entry right now is you. You getting out of bed and doing it. Exactly like we just talked about with Elliot. The tools are out there, easier than ever. Watch some videos on YouTube, do a Coursera, spend a little bit of money on yourself. But you're right, the barrier of entry is you because of these tools. I think it's a lot to celebrate. And I think it's well said, Elliot. A lot there. I want to celebrate everyone that's jumping off and just starting something, as well as the new tools that are helping us unblock a problem. I mean, that's the other part. I just remember how we're going to solve this and someone else solved the API. And you're like, okay, good. Let's do that. I'm sure you see that as well.
Yep.
Someone will figure it out.
Yeah, we see it all the time. And it's been really fun just going to those initial meetings with people and hearing the weird version of the problem that they want to solve this week, and being like, oh, I never would have thought about that. But like, yeah, that's definitely something that would be really cool if it was solvable. That's probably one of my favorite parts of the job, actually.
I love that. And do you think you can go back to the office, or do you like working virtual? What do you think you said? You personally, I mean, I know there's a lot of company things, but like, how are you thinking about it in a couple of weeks when things start opening?
I personally like being around people. I like having those like side conversations. Like I miss being able to like go and not just be like, all right, what's the topic of this meeting, but like talking about something on the way over, or seeing what someone's working on. But I don't think it's a like one size fits all. Like I think it can be like, hey, for what we've seen is that like people can work productively from home. So if you need to go work productively for a couple of weeks at home because you're really focusing on something, great, go for it. Or if you really like the office, great, we'll figure out a way to make an office for you.
Yeah.
But personally, I'm probably excited about having 1 or 2 days a month where I just get to sit at home and work on something really, really deeply. And then the rest of the time, go into the office and work with a bunch of other really smart people.
Love it. Well, we'll be cheering for you, and congratulations on the continued success. Continued success on picking the winners. This is like a lot of fun to be on where you are. We don't get to be on 2 rocket ships. So it's great to watch, at least on the outside. And it's easy to see why you got there. You're incredibly likable and very easy to talk to. And where you are right now, life is not easy, but you make it seem easy. So we appreciate you coming on and talking with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on and getting a chance to talk about the fun things we're doing, some of the things that people want to talk about, and just kind of what it's been like.
Nuts. It's been nuts. Now, we do like to connect with some people on the show, with other members, in the sense that this show was still started as a way to break down the loneliness. There's not, as this travel is changing, and I don't know how the show will change, but as far as other senior executive C-suite sector people, like people that we spent time with, who can I maybe introduce you to? Who would you want to connect with?
I would love to chat with groups that are just decided to spin up an ML team and are just starting out and don't know what to do next. that like have the idea and know what problem they want to solve, but need help solving it. I think those are the groups that we've been really successful at helping. And from our partnerships with things like Flexport and getting that team up to speed, that's been a lot of fun. We've talked about that in other places, but like we really love to take on those challenges.
Well, I like that. Is there a sector, or don't worry about the sector? You just want it, data is just
computer vision is always fun, but like, yeah, we're happy to work with any sector.
All right, no, that's cool. I got to go through. There's like 2 or 3 people. I've been speaking with a couple people that are working on synthetic data. Does it matter if it's would that be okay if I connect with people with synthetic data that's building some things?
Yeah, we've been building some things with synthetic data. We've been working with some companies that are doing synthetic data themselves. So it's always fun.
Yeah, so there's a few people that I've met. That's been pretty interesting. All right. Well, listen, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for hanging. I will be back in San Francisco, ? But when I do, we'll definitely hope, if you're around, let's grab a drink. If you're in Miami and you want to come to the Nuts Zone, which is just insane here, look me up. We'll grab a drink out here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Cool. Thanks for being on the show. And our show is sponsored by Pandio, and Pandio is dropping a Pandio ML. So I'm going to connect you with Pandio also. They're doing some cool stuff on ML Day. So you'll connect with them. They're doing some cool stuff. There might be a there as well. Cool. Thanks for being on the show, my man.
Yeah.